Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our forum for Danville Public Schools. We're really excited that you're here with us this morning. The meeting is being recorded and is being streamed live on Facebook so that we can have as many people in the community as possible hear this critical information. And Maddie, if you'll share, I just have a couple of announcements before we move into our program. Again, welcome. We always, at each of our programs, like to thank our innovation partners, and these are some of our members who make an investment in the Chamber's mission. And we are grateful for their support. It allows us to do programming like this at no cost to the entire community, among other strategic initiatives, and so we are grateful. We also work with a series of innovation partners that are sharing the good stories and the narrative that's coming from our community, and we couldn't be more proud of that positive momentum and grateful to these partners as well. We have a pretty packed September for you, and we're very excited about everything coming up. Most closely, our annual awards event on September 16th will have Virginia Chamber CEO and President Barry Duvall speaking, and we will award our Young Professionals Award, recognize our Educators of the Year, and award the Pinnacle and Pinnacle Small Business Awards. Our State of the Region with our City Manager and County Administrator on the 21st. A forum quite similar to this with Pittsylvania County Division Superintendent Dr. Mark Jones on the 22nd, and a We Lead program later this month that I hope you will join us for. Should be a fascinating discussion. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Angela Hairston, Superintendent of Danville Public Schools. Dr. Hairston, the floor is yours. Thanks for being with us this morning.
And I want to say good morning, good morning, good morning, and thank you so much to Alexis and Maddie for getting us started this morning and getting me on and connected. I am so excited to be home. For those of you who are not aware, this is my home. I started my teaching career in this area. I attended Averett University, Virginia Tech, and Hampton University, and spent the last 20 some odd years in Georgia after leaving here, opening Westwood as the principal and serving as a principal and superintendent in the state of Georgia. And recently, before coming back, was the superintendent of Winston-Salem Forsyth. So along the way, I've had tremendously wonderful experiences educating children. And so being back home and being a part of the Danville City Schools again is certainly an honor and something that I just cannot say how excited I am about the opportunities. Today, I would like to take some time to share two important areas of work and bodies of work here in the Danville Public Schools. We know that student achievement is at the top of our list relative to improvement. It is important to us that our children learn at high levels, that they increase their technology skills, they increase their ability to leave our high schools ready for work or for entering the college. And well-prepared students always present well for us in the community and always either become assets to our community or someone else's. And that has been our focus since day one. Lots of changes happening in our school system because these changes are needed to advance our students. We realize that we are very important to the economic engine in our community. We realize that we're connected to those opportunities that exist for businesses to come in. We realize we provide so many employees for many of you, and we want our students prepared to enter your workplace ready to work and ready to learn. We've had some great things happening since my arrival. I want to say that we've had many new leaders come to our schools, and there's an excitement around their leadership. Some opportunities we've had for children included an internship program this summer. The city and City of Danville and our Danville City Council and Mr. Larkin and Earl Reynolds, our assistant city manager, work with us with the Institute and Julie Brown and Workforce Development and Goodwill to provide these opportunities for children to earn money this summer and have a work experience. That was a collaborative effort that yielded so many benefits. Many of our children are participating in SAT prep courses starting this week, thanks to community support and our partnership with Danville Community College in Averett to ensure that our children either have access to dual enrollment and our teachers have support through professional development has been so exciting. And I can tell you, having served, this is my 8th year as superintendent, our community is probably one of the most collaborative communities I've ever worked in. So I'm going to start with a presentation. I'm not going to try to kill you with the PowerPoint. I'm going to kind of go through some slides, not too fast, but enough to give you some insight into what's happening, in our school system and some opportunities. Now, we did practice this before I came on, so hopefully this will all come up. I want to start with the strategic plan. I was so excited to be able to approach the Danville Regional Foundation before even accepting the job or getting on the job to ask for support, financial support, in drafting and getting in place a strategic plan. We can do all of the wonderful things we want, but if it doesn't fit into a plan that advances student achievement, the work can sometimes be for naught. So I'll go over the process very quickly with you and share some of our goals. And if you're interested in receiving a copy of our strategic plan, we have them at the district office, but we will also mail you a copy. So if you would like to contact Victoria Ireson, she will mail you a copy by calling our main number. Victoria Ireson will mail you a copy of the strategic plan. And if you would like several copies, we will ensure that you have several copies to distribute in your organization as well. So as we went along the work of the strategic plan, we started in January and we worked with the Virginia School Boards Association, a very credible organization across the state. And I'm not going to go through each of these dates, but I wanted you to have a glance, just some insight into the kinds of feedback we received from our community. This was not an Angela Harrison strategic plan. This was a community and internal employee process where we used a lot of feedback over a short period of time to draft what we thought was our plan that will reflect our needed focus. When we take a look at our 5 goal areas, and out of that plan came 5 goal areas, I'm going to start at the bottom because the strategic plan and the theory of action is like a ladder. And we knew that climate and culture came out in every single conversation. We have to improve climate and culture in our schools. The concept of partnerships were very important, and how we treat our kids matters, and how we treat our staff matters. And so climate and culture was number 1 relative to our stakeholders. And we know when we improve climate and culture, we'll have better stakeholder engagement and improved communication, because people will know what's happening in the schools. People will feel good about things that are happening and will certainly be more engaged. Okay. We also knew that as a part of the conversation, we needed to grow our staff. Our staff members needed additional professional support, and that's where the work of Averett University and University of Virginia and many, many other agencies came in to better prepare our staff. We also knew that with a better prepared staff, we would have better operations and internal processes, meaning we have more efficient processes, that we're not always coming back for more money, that we're actually using every dollar in the best way possible. And these things, when they're in place, we have better student achievement. And you know that if you have a business plan, if you have a business or you run a business, you're not going to make a profit unless there are some things in place to support that profit. And student achievement is the same way. So we also created a theory of action. Let me get here, a theory of action. And this better defines each goal. What is student achievement? What does improved student achievement mean? It means that children are working on grade level, the gap is closed, we don't have certain groups of students outperforming others with a huge gap. And it also means we graduate children college and career ready. And so each one of these, if you ask for a copy of our strategic plan, will go into detail about meaning, climate and culture, engagement, staff learning, and certainly operations, which most of us understand must be done efficiently. Our mission was revisited. The mission of our school system is to inspire, to educate, to develop students in collaboration with families and community. And that's important. We must work along with our families and our community, and we must send a message that we want every child to graduate college and or career ready. And we must create pathways for that success. And we must expect excellence. We cannot expect low expectations. We do have a significant number of students in our school district who are impoverished, but poverty should not define how much education you can attain. You should be able to go right there to the top. And then we have revised belief statements, which I won't read individually, but certainly are contained in our strategic plan. So I wanted to just show you how the strategic plan is set up. I won't go through every goal area because I want us to jump to also cover a second topic with you this morning. Student achievement goal, for example, we define the student achievement goal. What are we trying to accomplish relative to student achievement? And then we have indicators of achievement. What is student achievement? It means we must master all subjects. Children must have good read at high levels, and they must be able to handle numbers and mathematics with automaticity. We know in today's world, numeracy, technology skills, all of these things are important to our children. We must increase our graduation rate for all students. There's not one student that enters kindergarten and says, my goal is to drop out of high school. Not one, not one. And so we need to get them through the process of schooling so that they enter high school saying, I want to graduate and not I want to drop out. And so that those are challenges for us. And then we must increase opportunities for college and career readiness, what I will talk about later as well. What happens with each of these initiatives is we have very clear steps for how we're going to accomplish that, and that's detailed in our strategic plan. And we have measures which we're holding ourselves accountable for. So very soon you'll see a redesigned website. And as a part of that redesigned website, we better communicate with staff. We will have these measures that are out there for all to see so that you can hold us accountable for increasing. So this happens for every single goal, and we hope you hold us accountable for these measures. Again, if you'd like a copy of the strategic plan, contact Victoria Iverson and she will send you as many copies as you like for your organization. We want to get the strategic plan out. So if you have an organization with 100 people, we will send you 100 copies. We want everyone in our community to understand our goals and objectives. And so I wanted to just chat with you about that this morning because that is the foundation of our work. Lots of change. You're going to hear lots of change. But we're folks, we don't have a choice. We're in a position now where our student achievement matters so much. And it was always matter, but we've got to make sure that we get ourselves positioned better to compete across the state. The second topic that I'm excited to share with you is about our capital improvement process and the referendum that will appear on November 2nd on our election. This is relative to the needs. We have student academic achievement needs. We're hiring teachers. We're incentivizing those teachers, but we also need the second piece of work as well, and that would be our facilities. We know that most of our facilities were built prior to the 1960s. The last significant school project was Westwood Middle School in 1995 was opened. My daughter was 2 weeks old and she's 26, so that tells you how long it's been. I did see Mr. Lewis Kenny Lewis on our Forum today. He and I were administrators. I was principal, and he was my assistant principal. And he went on to become principal and director at the district. But we opened the school together, and that was a huge, a significant a milestone for the community. But you think about how long that's been. Well-built school, but it's been a long time. And when we go into schools like Forest Hills, who work, I mean, they do incredible work with children. School was built in 1935. And guess what? It feels like it was built in 1935. So we're looking to the community to support an initiative that will address the poor conditions, the functionality problems, and some of the programmatic problems we have. We also need our schools to be safe. And frankly, some of them are not ADA compliant. So we're busing children to other schools, and some of the schools present some safety issues. Schools are funded locally, and very few dollars come from the state level to fund schools. So our local dollars have gone to maintain our schools, and we've done a pretty good job. But relative to renovations to upgrades, the cost would be about $194 million at this time. And this is not something that's going to go away. These renovations, these needed changes are not going away. In 10 years, it may be close to $300 million. So we have to start to address these needs as we go through this process. So I want to talk about a few of the projects that would be considered if the 1% referendum were to pass. And for those of you who may not be aware, there is a referendum that we are allowed to ask, or we're placing that will be on the November 2nd ballot. And that 1% sales tax, which the referendum, if it passes, would allow us to assess 1%, not on groceries, not on medication, and that 1% would yield $144 million. Those dollars would go toward these projects that I'm about to discuss. So one of the projects under consideration would be getting our kids out of trailers. And so I'm going to go over take a few minutes to go over some of the elementary schools. My son attended Johnson Elementary School through 3rd grade, and then Grove Park in 4th grade. And I can tell you not much has changed at Johnson except the preschool that's been added. We have a need to have expanded space for children. Technology has changed. Classroom spaces need to be different, more access to technology, greater access to STEM labs. The modernization of a school is so important to improving student achievement across our school district. I will share with you an example. The reddish roofed areas, that is our preschool for our Northside Preschool. Beautiful, well-lit, spacious, accessible to children. But the remainder of the building serves our K-5, and our K-5 students need our help. So the white part, white roof areas would represent classroom spaces being renovated. There would be additional parking that would be added. The orange areas in all of our elementary schools, should this 1% pass and we get the dollars to renovate our schools, would represent a safe community access point. Oftentimes, community members want to use our buildings, but we can't negotiate the location. So this would have the cafeteria, gymnasium, and office space apart from the building for 2 reasons. One, for safety, keeping children out of the way of community members should we have daytime use, but also on the weekends, it would allow us to cordon off those areas so that teachers would not have to worry about classroom access, and the community would feel this is a part of my community. I have access. I have a place to hold events. I have a place for parks and recreation to have events. So we look forward to that partnership. Woodbury Hills will be another school getting kids out of trailers. We're at the point now at Woodbury where we're replacing the roofs on trailers. Kids have been in trailers too long, and we need them to be in nice classroom spaces. 1st and 2nd grade would be 1st and 2nd floors, getting kids out of trailers. Our music and chorus rooms would finally have classroom space. and not be in trailers away from the schools. So getting kids out of these mobile units. Forest Hills, again, high performing school, needs lots and lots of work. And oftentimes people ask, why do we keep Forest Hills Elementary open? It's a culture of excellence. And when you have a culture of excellence and teachers working together to support children, they matter. And so we want to support our culture of excellence. But we also need to use this opportunity to get our children, again, out of trailers. They are in trailers. It doesn't do us good to have kids in subpar learning environments. EA Gibson has gone through iterations. It's been a middle school and elementary school. But again, redesigning that campus so that it's more accessible to children. Uh, we want larger classrooms. STEM labs are so important. That science, technology, engineering, and math labs are so important in the way we learn today. Park Avenue, another school of excellence. Former Superintendent Sue Davis was the principal of Park Avenue many, many years, but Park Avenue has outgrown the building. So you'll see to the left, again, we've added trailers, we've added learning environments that do not help us optimize learning experiences. So redesigning the parking lot over to my right and adding classroom space is going to be important. And I promise you, just based on just my last a few months here, people want to be a part of Danville Public Schools, want to grow our student population and offer opportunities. Park Avenue would be a great location for an elementary IB program, and we want to be able to grow those areas. Langston, a rich tradition of history, built in 1957. Charles Smith, one of our former alumni and community members, continues to keep the history alive over there using a classroom for historical artifacts. And so Langston can be a very a prominent part of our plan in growing the community when we think about the Langston campus. If you look to the left, you'll see a little reddish green there. That track was redone using FEMA dollars, and that track will continue to be accessible to the community. I saw folks walking on the track this morning. Again, safe, accessible use is going to be very important to us as we grow our district. And we will also add a soccer field there. The soccer fields we played out at Dan Daniel will continue to use those soccer fields. But we also have had conflicting schedules, not conflict, but conflicting schedules when it comes to the high school soccer fields. So we want to add that soccer field there, not only for student use, for community use as well. The Langston campus would be multi-purpose if this 1% sales tax referendum should pass. If you, the voters, and your community members pass this, would be multi-purpose. One over to the right is our central office. Right now, we're renting the space. We appreciate the ability to rent our space, but we also can see growth and opportunity downtown. We need a more permanent space for our central office, something that doesn't go every 5 years and we have to refigure. We need more permanent spaces because of servers, and yes, we are adding things to the cloud, but we do have certain things that we have to maintain. So Langston's campus, the proposal would be housing the administrative offices that are currently downtown. We would also use this space to honor our history at Langston by accommodating some space dedicated to the historical artifacts maintained on the Langston campus. We also would move the Galileo School from the Sears building. It's one of our highest performing schools in the city, highest performing schools in the state. And they really are in a space where they're not able to grow. They're not able to have the spaces that are needed for them to do the things they need to do. And so this Langston campus would house our Galileo School, our administrative offices, and our adult education. The STEM work that they desire to do at Langston is oftentimes, at Galileo, is limited oftentimes by their space. And so again, we would increase this, move those fences from the outside to be a part of the school, have nice canopies for transition from building to building, so you're not soaking wet when you get out of the building. But it would become the Galileo School at Langston, and we would also have the administrative offices at Langston as well, and adult education on the John M. Langston campus. So we would preserve that name, but certainly give it a different feel and a different look. Right now, people think of Langston as the alternative place for learning. It will be a viable place for learning and a viable place for doing business for the district. And now our probably most expensive project would of course be George Washington High School. So I'll let this sit for just a minute. I do apologize. That would happen. The proposal would be, the most expensive project would be the renovation of George Washington High School. George Washington High School is a school that I taught at. It was built in 1955. And there are so many opportunities for our students at Eagles Nest, as they call it. The front part of George Washington High School, or the entry point, would move to Christopher Lane. This would allow access to the front of the school, the administrative offices, without always getting into the area of the students. We would also look at a total renovation of the campus. And I think it's important for us to understand how important our career technology education program is to the community and to preparing students to be career ready. So I'll start with that. When we look at our career technology program, which is in the purple over here, lavender, it was once called the vocational building. And children need access again to as many of these opportunities as possible. We have a wonderful robotics program, cybersecurity. We're reestablishing the culinary arts. We will establish a hospitality area. We have dentistry in the school, but there has to be upgrades to our career technology. Ms. Cully, who's director of CTE, is in the process of making application for our skilled trades programs. So in the fall, we will offer welding, electrical, and plumbing. These are very, very important careers. The last time I had a plumber come to my house, I thought, my goodness, maybe I need to go back and get certified to be a plumber, because I can tell you spent about 25 minutes and the bill was quite expensive. And so the reality is that these are good jobs that have been marginalized by lots and lots of people. And I can't tell you how over the years we have seen a decline in the numbers of our students entering skilled trades, but they're very important jobs to all of us. And it doesn't mean that we're not sending a message we want children to go to college, but you can still have a career path and continue on to college. And so we're going to continue to partner with Danville Community College, but have a very, very robust plan for increasing our participation in the career technology pathways. Again, hospitality, culinary arts, cyber, robotics. We'll continue our dentistry and nursing programs, which are very important. Our website and business programs, but we must have some investment in the skilled trades. And that's what the 1% referendum would do. Moving over to the auditorium, we love our arts. We love our arts. And I remember going, attending many community functions and art programs, the orchestra, the programs that the Arts Council brought in at George Washington. But we must have new curtains and floors must be redone. And then moving around to the classroom spaces. My classroom from George Washington, when I taught there back in the day, many years ago, it's still the same. There hadn't been one change, maybe some paint added. But we need to renovate those classroom spaces so that they are brought up to code and brought up to speed relative to what our children need. And then you'll see over here at Performance Gym, the gym that's at George Washington was more than likely served. It served us well for many years, but it no longer serves our kids well. And also our community use would increase in that regard. And I'm thankful that our school board members and our city council members work together to ensure that we have the dollars necessary to have a new track next year. So we have a new track in design. We hope that will be completed by May or June of next year, but that's going to be apart from the 1%, but we are excited to be moving on that project so far. And so George Washington High School is key to our community success relative to educating our high school students. We do lots and lots of work in the community with our students, and we want them to be prepared. We want them to remain in our community and transition perhaps to DCC or Averitt or somewhere else local. And we want to benefit from the experiences they've had in the high school. So this is just an overview of what the school would look like. And we would be very, very proud of ourselves as a community if we were to pass this referendum. And this would be an entry to a STEM lab that would be added if this were to come to pass. So who voted yes? Halifax, Gloucester, Patrick County, Henry County, and Northampton voted yes last year to this referendum. We will have two items on the ballot. One will ask our citizens to agree to levy the 1%, not on groceries, not on medication, but to levy the 1% that will yield $144 million if we were to use the bond route. The second item on the ballot will be asking us to use a bonds to sell bonds so that we can get the dollars to start on the projects. So the 1%, and most people ask, well, where does this come from? Mostly it will come, and I won't say mostly, but part of it will come from people who come into our community and spend dollars. We had a huge rock festival. I happened to get in line behind many of them going into Walmart. Those types of folks would bring money into our community. And again, at some point, we must deal with or handle our facilities. But that 1% would bring in what would equate to 42.5% in real estate taxes if we were to use real estate taxes, which is another way to fund schools. I'm not saying that would ever pass, but that gives you some idea about the 1% and what can happen. Lots of people think that you can use lottery dollars, and lottery dollars do not go towards capital. They do support average students. They support smaller class sizes, lots of student support systems, but not capital. Also, there's been a question about the casino dollars. The casino dollars cannot begin to support the needs that we have relative to capital. Now, yes, casino dollars more than likely will support our children in other ways. And we've had a committee say that these are some ways that casino dollars could support children, preschool, literacy, other kinds of things. But to depend on casino dollars for capital would be short-sighted. And also, if we were to sell bonds, certainly could not get good bond ratings there.
We know that education is much more than a building, but studies show that inadequate facilities affect student morale, attendance, health, and cognitive abilities. We want our students to live in a safe community. We want our students to live in an economically viable community. And we want our students to live in an engaged community. But our students need to be highly educated, and the space in which they learn matters. This is an investment, but it's an investment in our community that will affect the lives of our students for generations to come.
So I play that and, and share that with you because we feel we're a part of a bigger picture. We know under Chief Booth's leadership that we have worked tirelessly on creating that feel of a safe community with community policing and stratified policing and those kinds of things. We know that we have made a safe community a priority, economically viable community. Our economic development group and under the leadership of Ken Larkin and our city council, we're always, the Chamber of Commerce is always looking, the Institute looking, seeking out ways to ensure that we remain economically viable. As I mentioned earlier, an engaged community. I haven't worked in a community that is just so supportive until returning home. And I can tell you the engagement we have from the foundations, our parents, our nonprofits, our faith-based, it's just incredible. But we need a highly educated community. And to do that, we must invest. We must invest. And when you have those four pieces working together, you have tremendous success in the community. I better not play this again. I end up playing this several times. So what can you do to help? Having the correct information is important. Volunteering is important. If you put a www in front of the vote yes for DPS, you'll find a website that is available to offer additional information, great FAQs. So www.vote yes for DPS is our website, and this is an email. You can always send this person an email and ask for additional information. And so I commit to you as superintendent that we have two huge initiatives going here. One is the implementation and execution of our strategic plan and every aspect of the strategic plan. We want to ensure our teachers, our staff, our parents, our administrative team, everyone is working toward student achievement in the classroom. We also are appealing to our community to support better facilities, because we know together investing in bright futures is a leg to success. It's our path to success. It's our path to making this community great. And I do want to say that Mark Jones, Superintendent Jones, Dr. Jones from Pittsylvania County, and I work closely together as they have a similar referendum on November 2nd, voting for the 1% sales tax in the county as well. Regionally, we must work together. We must partner. The success of the county is our success is their success. And so I appreciate that spirit of cooperation, that spirit of working together, because regionally we can serve everyone, and regionally we can grow to just unimaginable heights. And so I want to thank you for allowing me to take these 35 or 40 minutes just to share some information about, and I apologize. I was getting this cough, and I apologize for the interruption there, a break in the presentation. But I do want to say that I do appreciate everyone taking time this morning to listen and to be here and give us your time. And I think I'll pause at this time and take questions if there are any questions.
Dr. Hairston, if you can believe it, we haven't had any come in just yet. I would encourage our participants once again, and I'm going to credit that to your comprehensive presentation, that you probably have answered a lot of the questions that people have. Here's one that's come in. So given the age of the facilities not included in the initial request, What's the timeline for renovating the remaining schools, and how would the additional renovations be funded? I know that's a longer term question, but if you could address that.
It's two-tiered, and in Danville, we have a bond cap of $6 million. So if the 1% sales tax referendum passes and the second part doesn't pass, then the city council would have to vote on that whole process. If the second part exceeding the bond limit of $6 million, and we're able to go to the market with bonds, the process would be quicker. So the timeline that we would have would be February or March. Of course, the projects would be determined in December, January, February, March. Mr. Atkins would look at the bond market and get ratings and try to get those bonds sold. And hopefully we would have access to those dollars as early as the fall of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
If the second referendum part of the item didn't pass, and we had to use a pay-as-you-go, meaning as we collect the funds, we spend the funds on the construction projects. Right now, the projection is about $9 to $10 million a year. Then it would be a longer process.
Mm-hmm.
The priorities would, of course, be determined by the school board. But our tier 1 project is George Washington High School. Tier 2 is Galileo, and tier 3 is getting kids out of trailers.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be the tiered approach. But hopefully both items would pass, both referendums would pass, and we'd have access to dollars, and we could run those projects concurrently, and get all of these projects done. Of course, it does a lot depends on the number of people that can handle the constructions. Lots of factors, but
Yes,
we don't expect it to be a long time. We want to
That's
get on
right.
top of this.
that's right.
Absolutely.
Well, it does make a difference for kids. And I think it's, not as catchy, but this is important. Vote yes and yes for
Yes
DPS,
and yes. I
right?
like
This is why I'm not in the marketing business, but technically we need to vote yes twice.
yes and
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so really move forward. Maddie, were there other questions? I don't see any others in the chat. We are going to share the recording with everyone and hope that you will share that with those who weren't able to attend this morning. Dr. Hairston, I know you're available to do presentations throughout the community. Early voting begins Friday, I believe.
Friday.
So
yes.
we would encourage you from the chamber to vote. Certainly take advantage of that early voting option. Lots on the ballot this fall. And we're extremely grateful to Dr. Hairston and Dr. Jones for leading this charge for our communities.
And I want to thank you, Alexis. I want to thank you and the Chamber Board for supporting us. This was very important that we have your support with this initiative. And again, if you have presentations, I want to Kenny Lewis, who is on today, as well as Dr. Carl Stauber. They're leading our campaign team. They're co-leads there, and they've gotten us out quite a bit. So if you need any of the three of us to be out and about speaking, and we're available.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. And we really appreciate that. And thank you for your time this morning. Thanks to all who are able to join this. Again, when you get that recording, please feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. And with that, we will wish everyone a great day. Thanks, Dr. Hairston.
Thank you so much. Take care.